There, Kim Havell, LiveSauce Media. We're back right now with Majka, our last guest for the day. Thanks for staying tuned. Majka, speaker, climber, writer. What else? You do it all. Great to have you here, sister.
It's good to be here.
So, Way Point Naimbia. How did you choose Namibia, and how did this film come together?
I actually chose it the first time because I wanted an easy trip to Africa, and I'd been doing all this work in Ethiopia, and I was in South Africa, and I thought, I can go to Namibia and go car camping, and it just will be a kind of like a vacation. And then about 10 minutes later, I realized that there was all these other things that I was interested in Namibia, and that's kind of what created the whole project and spurred the grants and the film.
So with this film, you kind of address the idea that through adventure, you can also explore culture and bring awareness. Can you tell us a little more about that and how that went on your trip for you?
I'm kind of interested in I think there's a lot of us that say, gosh, we'd love it if we're adventurous souls and we want it to mean more. But where can that happen authentically? And where is it better to say, you know what? I just want to go kayak this river. Or I just want to climb this rock face, right? And when is it more salient? And when is it something that's kind of a load of BS, right? And so with Namibia, there's a tribe up in the northwestern part of the country, and they're called the Himba. And they've been, you pick up a National Geographic in the 80s, and there's always some quintessential photo of the Himba. They're used as their African pastoral tribe. I mean, I've had people come up to me today after the film was shown this morning. They said, that's exactly the way we think of, people in Africa. And so to say, well, what if you go right to the nucleus of that this is our perception, and then you climb right there and you say, can you get beyond that perception through climbing? And for me, it was, that's what was interesting. It wasn't just saying, is there this beautiful rock face that I can go climb? Then why don't I just go do it, in Colorado? I can have rock right in front of my face. But instead, what if that rock right in front of you lends itself to something different?
Do you think you're bringing awareness to them of Western culture? Do you feel like by exploring these areas, these people are sort of gaining bringing recognition of their cultural elements back to the States, and that how are you helping them?
I think there's always an exchange of energy, right? I mean, anytime you have an interaction with any other human being, and for me, it's saying that, there's a different way that we can understand anybody, and we all just need portals. And I think that there's so many different ways to have information right now. This is live stream, right? I was watching your interview beforehand in there on the computer. I have no idea how many films are at Mountain Film. There's 50 some films probably here, and how do you know what to care about, and how do you know how to get there? And I think when I listen to the normal news, I think, where's my entrance into this? And for me, that's been climbing. So I can say, now I understand a world because I've now traveled to Namibia because I initially wanted to go there to climb. And I think that that's then translated, I've given, I think, maybe 25 lectures about Namibia at this point, and people who've seen my film, and to say, okay, people come to it because they want to see this different interpretation, and they leave with it with a deeper knowledge. So I think that's where it all, where it all comes together. And it's not necessarily what you're hearing on the daily news stories, but it's more about, how do we have to be interested in something to remember it, right? Like when we were kids, if you were just getting something preached to you and it was rote memorization, you forget it. But if you have a reason to care about something, then suddenly it just opens up this different pathway into it. And I think that's, and maybe that sounds oversimplified but that's what I feel like is my job, is to say, okay, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to find these things and I'm going to translate them. I'm going to try to help other people have portals into that same medium.
Share the discoveries. It makes sense. So segueing from there, then the next step, where is your next step? You're working on a book right now. Is that right?
Yep. I'm doing it's going to be my second book. It comes out this September. It's called Coffee, Authentic Ethiopia. It's this beautiful coffee table book. I know, coffee table book about coffee. Everyone thinks of the Seinfeld episode. In any event, it's a beautiful coffee table book, and it's about, Ethiopia is where coffee is from, but very few people understand that. And you have Ethiopia, which is one of the poorest countries in the world, and they have one of the most expensive commodities in the world. And how do those things link up? In the everyday coffee consumption culture, how do those things link up? And my thesis is that through story, if people better understand the human stories behind the culture of coffee in Ethiopia, then they'll be more appreciative of that coffee, pay a higher price point, and you can change the economics of one of the poorest countries in the world very quickly at that level. So that's kind of the next thing.
And that stemmed from climbing. So that was from an original
climbing trip. Yep.
So, and you have another trip coming up soon, right?
Yep. I have I have another trip to Africa that I'm not talking about that much about, but I am going back to Ethiopia in September to lead a trip there for some people who are doing a bunch of climbing with me and mountain biking and the whatnot. And then I have another project that I want to do in Africa that will hopefully become a film too. And then the other thing that's going on is that hopefully you and I are going to be doing a TV show about women's adventure, which would be great, and just kind of say, okay, what about women out in the wilderness doing things that are exciting and inspirational and learning while they're doing it? So that's what we're looking for, right?
Yeah, it'd be great to be able to share some stories of what women are doing out there, for sure. So I hope we can make that happen. Exactly. Well, thanks so much for meeting with us today, and good luck with the film, and we'll be in touch soon again.
Definitely. Thanks a bunch. Good deal.
Okay, well, that wraps it up for our live hosting interviews today. Thanks again to Tommy Hine Architects for the space and location. And yeah, wrapping up from downtown Telluride. Enjoy your weekend, and thanks for staying tuned.